And it is my pleasure to get to facilitate Wednesday webinar today. It is not one of my normal responsibilities with my work. However, Quentin is currently in Washington, D.C. at a national conference along with some other division staff and coordinators. And so I was given the privilege of stepping into this role just for today. So I want to thank Hilary for being with us today, and I'm going to take no more of her time and allow her to introduce herself and start sharing her fantastic content with you. I'm so excited that we get to learn today about ways to strengthen partnerships with Kentucky Public Libraries.
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you all for letting me be here. As Maggie said, my name's Hilary Writt. I am a librarian. I work with the Department for Libraries and Archives in Frankfurt, but I support public library staff across the state, and I'm just honored to get to be here with you all today. My official title is Workforce and Adult Services Consultant, but I work with Bookmobile library staff and outreach staff and a lot of folks in between. So we'll kind of I'm going to give you a brief overview of what we'll talk about today. I'll tell you a little bit about KDLA, our relationship with public libraries in Kentucky, and then public libraries in general. And some of this you all may already know, so bear with me, but do want to kind of give some background information on just the library setup in the state. I'll share some general Bookmobile information, then talk about programs and services that outreach and Bookmobile librarians are doing. And then we'll talk about some collaboration opportunities and have some time for questions. And I want to encourage you all to please ask questions in the chat. I may not be able to respond right away, but I would like to get to your questions. Or if I share something you think we've done that, or we would like to do that, please feel free to comment in the chat. That is most welcomed. So first, I'll share that the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives, we are the state library. We provide support to public libraries across the state, but we do many other things. We provide support for local records staff and many other things. But what I'm going to be talking about today focuses on this part of our mission that I've highlighted, supporting and promoting access to library services. We want to help libraries across the state support their local communities and help them in that support. So that's part of the role that I serve in at the state library, but I have colleagues who do similar roles in my department. So, that's really something that is near and dear to my role, is supporting public library staff who serve the public. So there are 120 public library systems in the state, 204 total buildings, and that includes main libraries and branches. These public libraries are independent, special purpose government entities. So they are responsible to the DLG, Division of Local Government. Over 100 of these libraries are taxing districts, so that means that some of them are not funded by local taxes, but over 100 of them do get local revenue. They are independent from KDLA, from the Department for Libraries and Archives. The relationship that KDLA has with the local libraries is one of a consultative role. We do not have any authority to tell them how to do their programming or what kind of programs to offer, what policies to have. And libraries, since we don't have that responsibility, libraries are governed by a local board of trustees. That's usually 5 people. Then the day-to-day operations are handled by a local director. And I just so y'all can see a little bit better. I want to share this slide with you. And there's a link to where you can access this. We worked with KY Stats and I can share more about KY Stats. I think you all probably are aware of them, but they worked with us to develop this graphic so you can see the community, each county's closeness or proximity to the population, the library's closeness to the population in the county. The darker the green, the closer the people are to the library. And then the gray, so you get gray and then orange. That's they're farther away from the library. And that would be over 30 minutes to get to their local library location. So the far western part of the state, you can see Fulton County. I think it's Carlisle County that has some difficulty getting to the local library. And I actually, Ballard and Carlisle share a library location. Those two counties share a location. It's in Ballard County, I believe. I mentioned the 120 earlier. Whitley County has a county library, and then they also have Corbin Public Library. So that's how we get to 120 library systems. But just so you can see this, I think this really gives a sense of how close folks are to their local location. And I can share these slides out with Maggie and leadership if you all want to see these later. So I've got a little bit of a pop quiz for you all. This next slide, how many bookmobiles do you think Kentucky has? And you're welcome to put in the chat. And Maggie, if you want to share, or feel free to type your answers in the chat. How many you think Kentucky has? I see folks are still responding.
Looks like
Wonderful.
most responses are C or D.
Okay, you all were very close then, because Kentucky has 74. We have the most bookmobiles in the country. And that's actually been the case for a while, as we'll see here in just a moment. But 74, that we have 74 bookmobiles. That does mean that not every county has a bookmobile. And as we talk about some of the programs and services here in a moment, be aware that not every location that your county may not have a bookmobile, but there probably are outreach activities that are going on within that county. I'd like to give you a little history about bookmobiles in Kentucky, bookmobiles and outreach in Kentucky. In 1934, as part of President Roosevelt's Works Progress Administration, the Leslie County worked to have their packhorse librarian set up there. And the packhorse librarians, as you probably are already aware, they brought books, magazines, even did other kind of activities to bring to community members within the Appalachian region. So parts of Johnson County, Floyd County, Leslie County were served by packhorse librarians that they paid for their own, or rented their own horse or mule, and brought services to rural parts of Kentucky. This program ended in 1943. And at that time, those folks were starting to transition into using bookmobiles. And so I've provided sources there. And Maggie, do you need to interrupt me, or I don't
believe so. No, you're good.
Okay. Okay. So then motorized bookmobiles started coming into play. And then, so the next bullet point on here, 1953 and 1954, both Mary Belknap Gray and Mrs. Barry Bingham worked very hard with state, local officials, even nonprofit organizations. They worked with legislators to raise funding to get bookmobiles supported across the state. The article that I'm going to share with you later, or the citation here for it, that they have a picture of these bookmobiles in Louisville. They're circling around the Kentucky State Fairgrounds. So it was such a point of pride for these women, but it was a point of pride for the communities to have a bookmobile that they've supported in part, and that could start taking library services to members of the community. And then just kind of more modern, there are a few book bikes within the state of Kentucky, and I've mentioned in 2021, the Louisville Free Public Library started using their book bike to provide services. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment, but that's kind of all the way from using horses up to book bikes, and even some libraries have looked at using electric vehicles. I'm not sure that necessarily any in the state are using them now, but I know that other states have gotten electric vehicles. And then this picture here is of Estill County Public Library's older bookmobile, and then their new bookmobile. And you'll get to see some images inside of it in a few minutes. So these are the library or the counties that have bookmobiles. And you can see not every county does have one. The counties that are gray, shaded in gray, do have bookmobiles. We worked again with Kentucky Stats or KY Stats to develop this graphic. And you can see the blue marks are the main location, main library location. And then the ones that are red, those are branches. So you can see also what counties have multiple locations. That would be folks could visit those locations, but you'll hear too in a few moments about library, some of those locations doing direct service in their community outreach to those community members from different branches. So I've talked a little bit about outreach and bookmobiles, mostly bookmobile history, but I do want to kind of tease out a little bit of a difference. So because maybe every library doesn't have a bookmobile, but many are doing outreach, and it may involve an outreach vehicle. It may not. It may just be somebody's personal vehicle. We have to, KDLA and actually public library staff have to report data to us so that we can send it on to the federal government. And part of that data, the federal government has strict guidelines on what defines a bookmobile and what defines an outreach vehicle. The top one you'll see is Estill County Public Library's bookmobile again. That is a bookmobile. You can see the definitions on there, but it has to have a dedicated collection. So it wouldn't be books that are taken from the main library to a person or just taken to their home, taken to a senior living facility. It has to be dedicated to that collection, to that bookmobile. It has to have a paid staff, and it has to have regular stops. So the bottom vehicle is actually an outreach vehicle, and that can be, again, somebody's personal vehicle. Usually it is a library vehicle that could be a van or a station wagon, something of that sort, but it does not have to have an organized collection. Some libraries do things they call porch drops, where they will take materials to residents, community members, patrons who are not able to make it to the library for some sort of reason. That could be they are homebound because they're older, or maybe they've just had a new baby and they want to get services. So libraries will offer that to them. And I talked about book bikes, so I want to show you a couple of them. And how do these fit in? Well, book bikes can get into places. They can go to a community event. They can go to um, even an indoor event, but they can be more mobile within. You can't take a large vehicle around in an area. And so these book bikes can provide service and can connect with younger kids, with other patrons in a way that a physical vehicle can't. They can just get places. Oftentimes, there can be free books that are given away with the book bikes. There can be a little bit of programming that the librarians can carry along with them, maybe some prizes or other types of giveaways. And you can see the ones from Mason County, and then the others, the Louisville Free Public Library. These can even allow for like a pop-up event. So allowing for the librarian to be a little more mobile, but to have a way to take supplies with them. And it's just fun for the kids to see the graphics and different things. So this is another way that libraries are doing outreach, and a way that possibly as you as FRYSC coordinators could potentially work in sharing resources so that these that resources could be shared through book bikes or either an outreach or bookmobile. So who is served by outreach and bookmobile services? And I've listed, you will see that these are inclusive. It really depends on the location. And that's kind of something as we go through. You already saw that not every county has a bookmobile. Even the ones that do, they may serve all ages. So the bookmobile librarian really may go to preschools and daycares, but they also may go to senior living centers and they may go to adult daycares. They may work with young people who are in residential facilities. It just can vary. But other libraries, the bookmobile librarian is primarily just works with children and youth. Or, and as you see at the bottom, one of the outreach librarians at Bullitt County, she primarily works, well, I take that this is an image of her primarily working with adults, but we have a story from her in a few moments where she's working with young people too. But it just varies. So I encourage you to check with your local library and see who is their bookmobile librarian working with? Are they working with the schools? Are they working with homeschool families? How are they involved in their community? And then see how you may be able to connect with them. It just varies though by library. So now I'm going to highlight a few programs and services that libraries are offering. And this is the Boyle County Public Library. I like these pictures. So I reached out to bookmobile librarians and outreach librarians across the state and asked them to share some stories, some things that they do, activities they do with adults, activities and programs they do with children, some success stories, and then partnerships they have. And this was one of the stories that was shared with me. I like this so much because I can see many ways for possible partnerships and connections. And I also like that the kids were able to be at a location and still see the library's bookmobile and get to check out resources. So this was the bookmobile librarian. You can see her quote on the page. I like how she said it was magical day. At the bottom, you can see the librarian reading to the children. This could be something though that high school students could come see it, talk about careers at the local airport, learn about opportunities that exist. Could there even be leadership opportunities for high school students? I think Boyle County now has some aviation classes. Could the high school students come and talk with children about what they're learning and ways that they may be able to participate in aviation or aerospace studies later on? It was obviously I mean, the kids seem like they're having fun. They get to get on the bookmobile and connect with libraries, clicked with learning that I'm learning about this airport and aviation, but I can also, maybe there's a book about airports or planes or science that I can check out on the bookmobile. The Bullitt County Public Librarian shared she does outreach. She visits several different facilities a month and she delivers programming, does crafts, and she shared specifically, and I'd like to share this with you, that she visits a youth residential facility for boys ages 13 through 18. She brings in technology like laptops and video games and spends about 3 hours with these young men on a Saturday. She even brings virtual reality headsets. The library staff sets everything up and works with them. When she initially reached out to the facility director about the possibility of even just bringing library resources to the students there, the young men there, the residents there, the director, why would they want to come? What would be the benefit to the students and why would they be interested in it? She said, she's won over this director because since the beginning of the relationship, boys have added trips to the library as one of their favorite outings. The staff at the library know them now and make them very welcomed. Some of these young men had never ever been to a library. The director tells her now that the reading level for the boys has improved as a result of their access to the items. Their behavior has also improved because they know the week that Miss LaDonna is going to come and visit, they have to be on their good behavior so that they can participate in the video game and the learning and getting to check out books. In addition to these kind of outreach, the library has worked with the facility and the young men to provide some job training for the young men, for a few of the older young men. They've brought them in as volunteers to give them some life experience, work experience. So that there could be, and again, as I'm going through sharing some of these ideas, if you sharing some of these programs and services that are offered, if you can think of ways of how you could potentially collaborate with the library to maybe provide resources or um, join along. However, you could think of, I would welcome those in the comments. But that this is a kind of a different way I wouldn't necessarily think about libraries doing that. I knew that as a librarian, I knew that things like this could be going on, but just to hear how the reading scores had improved and giving the students an opportunity, these residents at a facility, opportunities to even come outside the library and even get some volunteer experience was exciting for me to hear. This next program service I want to share is from the Taylor County Public Library. They were reached the local school reached out to them and said, "We'd like you to come for a family literacy day and do something, set up a booth." And so the library staff was trying to think of ways that they could do this on an economic on a budget, but still engage the children. So they knew that Pokemon was big, Magic the Gathering, those kinds of things. So they thought, well, we can make our own book trading cards. Let's think of ideas. What kind of trading cards could we do? They thought of different characters that the children would be familiar with and like, and tried to get it for different grade levels. So this little boy was so excited to get his Dog Man trading card, but you can see there's Gerald and Piggy. And so this was a great way to connect with kids in the community. And this was a program that the Bookmobile librarian and the children's librarian at the library partnered on to make available. But they keep these book trading cards available um, for use at other times so they can hand these out. And I think they continue to add to them as well. So I've shared some programs and services, but just here's a few more that libraries are offering. And then the top picture there is Miss Sherry at the Estill County Public Library. That's her on the bookmobile with some kiddos. She's reading to them. And then the bottom is the Greene County Public Library. The bookmobile librarian took this picture, and she when she goes and visits in that daycare, she says she beeps the horn and the kids come running and stand at the door. They're waiting for her to be there. So book kits. The Greenup County Public Library has developed book kits that school teachers can use. They can check out. The library will circulate those. They also create a teacher's guide. Now, I, that's the Greenup County Public Library. Not every public library may have book kits for the schools to use, but you'll hear about in a little while another opportunity for book kits that you may be able to avail yourself of. Um, but that's just something that Bookmobile staff and outreach staff offer. Porch drops. And this would be where the outreach person would they know their community, so they have a few folks in their community who specifically want books delivered to them. But this Pendleton County, for example, doesn't have a bookmobile. So they will get the books from the collection and take those to specific patrons. They know their patrons, they know what authors they like to read, and they'll deliver them to the patron individually. The Marshall County Public Library actually mails books to their patrons. And again, the librarian or the bookmobile staff member, they know those patrons very well and will work with them on the books that they want. You probably are familiar that bookmobile librarians do story times at schools, daycares, and preschools, but they also will work with homeschool kids. And that brings me to the next one, the Bookmobile Birthday Club in Wayne County. She works a lot with the homeschool families. She says because some of those families have five or more children, and it can be hard for them to make it into the into town. But when she goes, she finds out when their birthdays are. She also works with older residents in the county and finds out their birthdays. If they're wanting to participate, she will add them to the Bookmobile birthday club. She finds out what kind of candy or treats that they like, and when it gets close to their birthday, she creates a little bag with a couple of treats and then a handwritten birthday card for them. She can also, if they get permission, will add them to the newsletter that she creates. And her hope is to help the community realize, oh, Miss Susan is turning 101. I didn't realize that. Let's celebrate. Let's go connect with this older lady in our community. Or, oh wow, they've got this kiddo just celebrated his 10th birthday. Be um, let's see how we can celebrate our neighbors during this birthday season. So she has over 100 and I think 6 people currently on her Bookmobile birthday club at this time, and it continues to grow. She has funding to do that, but could could there be a partnership there with connecting with what services are available through family resource centers and that local bookmobile librarian? Crafts often are provided either on the bookmobile or as we call them make and take. So it's something that's maybe in a gallon size freezer bag. They'll have all the craft supplies in there and instructions on how to make the craft or an activity. So maybe it's they're in a situation where it's not really everybody can't spread out and do the craft, or sometimes some older adults, if these are left over, the make and take bags, the older adults will want those in their home so that they can work a craft with their grandchildren or their nieces and nephews, great grandchildren when they come. They aren't able to get out or they're not able to afford the supplies to do those type of crafts with their loved ones, but this gives them an opportunity to have a craft available for their family or an activity when they come. And so that's something that Bookmobile staff provide. Free books that children can take home and borrow, um, or if they're not allowed to borrow. And you probably are aware of this, but sometimes parents are afraid of they don't want the responsibility of having an overdue book on their account, or they're just afraid something will get lost. And so libraries will take donated books or books that have been gently used. They've gotten rid of them from their collection, and they'll put those on the bookmobile to have available for when they go to a facility or they're at a community stop and there's kids that aren't allowed to check out books. I will let you know that over half of Kentucky's public libraries are now fine free, which means they do not charge for overdue materials. They may charge for a damaged or a lost book, but even then, they want people to come and use the library. So they've tried to reduce any barriers for people to do that and to help people not be afraid of borrowing materials too. So um, then food, and this may seem surprising, but libraries participate in summer feeding. At least one of the public libraries bookmobile, she delivers food as part of the summer feeding. She has the meals on her bookmobile and will deliver food through that. We have a couple of libraries that are doing grocery service type um, in small instances to help their patrons, and then homeschool support, which I already kind of touched on, but they can provide to those who are being homeschooled or Amish families. Will go out and do programs, and we'll take books and library resources to those families who are not in school. And just a few other things that Bookmobile and outreach staff are providing. So medical, you may not think of blood pressure cuffs, but Some libraries have partnered with the American Heart Association to make blood pressure cuff and blood pressure kits available in their libraries. So Miss Louise is in the top right of that graphic there. She's got a blood pressure kit that has a blood pressure cuff, has information from the American Heart Association on how to measure your blood pressure and what signs to be aware of, and then information about um, local providers. One of the Bookmobile librarians shared with me the story that she has developed a partnership with her local EMS. They have a community paramedic whose role is to help people be healthy and stay in their own homes as long as possible. So if this community paramedic sees a need that he realizes is not um, medical, he will contact the Bookmobile librarian in Warren County. And she has gotten requests to create um, more accessible CD player. We're putting tape on it to make it accessible to see the play and stop buttons. She's worked with her friends of the library to get a shower caddy that could go beside a chair in the person's home. This allows her, because she already has relationships with perhaps older adults or with others in the community through her bookmobile work, to perhaps identify a need and refer a person to EMS, or to work with that EMS person to help the the patron be more comfortable with medical services coming in. She can introduce them, and she has that relationship with them already. She's a comfortable person to the older adult or the person who's homebound, and so there's just a comfort level that she can provide. Um, she had a senior citizen pull her, a patron, um, their family members tell her that how much they appreciated that the library was able to provide this service between the grocery bus and the library. They checked on the family. This bookmobile librarian checked on the family each week, and it just meant so much to that family member. So that's just, I wouldn't have thought about this until again, reaching out to the bookmobile librarians and the things that they're doing. I already mentioned the visiting the youth residential facility in Bullitt County. Many visit nursing homes and will do senior living centers. They'll play bingo, they'll do crafts, but oftentimes they listen to folks and they'll share books with them and they'll listen to stories and they'll work to help connect and let that person know that they're valued and they have dignity. Lastly, I want to touch on in Northern Kentucky, an outreach. Actually, she's the ESL instructor with the library, but she does outreach at a local mobile home park. And this is to provide service to families, for women, adults who are not able to, they don't have transportation to get to the library or to get to adult education center. So she goes to them and will provide classes for them on a regular basis. So there could be opportunities if there's information from the school that needs to be connected to those families they may not be aware of. That could be a potential collaboration to help connect information from the school to these families that may not be aware of the services available, or there's a program coming up that could be a benefit to your children. So that's that's just another way that outreach is being provided. So I've given you a little clue on this pop quiz, but here's another quiz for you. Which of these items are available on bookmobiles in Kentucky? And I'll give you a couple moments to respond to that in the chat. Some of these may be surprising, but others may not after I've already shared some. So give you a few moments to put in the chat. All right, I'll give you the answers now. Every single one of those is available on at least one bookmobile in the state. I've got a sign here. You can get a mobile hotspot in Greenup County through their bookmobile. The Greenup County Public Library also has fishing poles through the Department of Fish and Wildlife that they circulate from their bookmobile. You'd have to be an adult to check that out, but if families, that could be a sustainable food option if they needed to borrow a fishing pole to fish. That's something, or planning again for maybe the grandkids are coming in and you want to have an activity to do with them. Uh, Bookmobile you can work with the Bookmobile librarian there, Miss Karen, to get the fishing poles available. Books, magazines, DVDs, mentioned food earlier, the mobile hotspots, crafts. Some of our bookmobiles have mobile printing on them, and that can be a benefit to help folks as well who may not be, they may need to print out a form so that they can take it into the clerk's office or something, maybe their doctor's office. So this is a great service that the libraries are providing. Now, I just want to share this word cloud of the different partnerships that when I asked Bookmobile librarians to share with me their partners that they've worked with, this blew me away. I knew that they were doing a lot of collaboration, but just this, like I said, it blew me away. And I'd like to share briefly one of the partner or the Bookmobile librarian shared with me that she does. And this is in Allen County. Each Monday, she goes to a different volunteer fire department and has crates of books and DVDs for people to check out. She takes her notary public seal with her. She has driver's license renewal forms, social security card replacement forms, and then library card sign up forms. She stays an hour at each local fire hall and has a schedule in the newspaper and on social media so that people can know she'll be there. They're actually working with the to put a book nook that she calls it in each of these fire halls where people can be in the community where so that the people in the community can borrow books and pick up reserves and drop off things. That's going to be a weekly addition to her schedule. So she's going to be checking those book nooks in addition to her other regular stops. Another librarian talked about in Henry County how she's partnered with the local post office to have book resources available in the post offices, little libraries, so that folks in the community can visit when they're visiting the post office, they'll have books that either if they've got a little one there or just a resource that they can have while they're waiting. We've had folks that have partnered with Fish and Wildlife for free fishing weekend events, local mental health agencies to provide, they'll partner with them for outreach programming. FRYSC came up more than once, so that's great to hear. There's some will go to their local Walmart, Dairy Queen, Farmers Co-op. They'll provide prizes and supplies. Some are even making little libraries at boat docks. So, but just a variety of different things that are partners that folks work with. And like I said, it just kind of blew me away to see the different resources and different community partners that our Bookmobile librarians are working with, which is also encouraging as you potentially would partner with your Bookmobile librarian, you could add those connections as well. So I've a little bit touched on some collaboration opportunities, but I've just kind of got some more potential ways to partner. At first, I would encourage you to contact your local library if you aren't already working with them, and I suspect that many of you are. And I just champion that and thank you. I mean, thank you again to Maggie for even letting me come and talk with you. It's been such an honor. But find out what each library does. So maybe again, homeschooling is maybe big in one community, so they don't have access to the public school system. But how could there be a way to partner? Or maybe they don't have a bookmobile, but they do outreach. They go to the local preschools, and they happen to work with ESL patrons. Just there may be opportunities, even if the library doesn't have a bookmobile. You could ask if you can ride along on bookmobile stops to interact with patrons. That, again, many of the patrons, the only person that they're seeing on a consistent basis, aside from maybe a home health aide, could be a bookmobile librarian. We've had bookmobile librarians ask us ask me, how can I help a person who I think may be starting to have memory issues? Or you heard from Warren County, they're helping folks stay in their homes. So they're trying to think of ways to get assistance to help working with local EMS to provide services. But riding along on the stop, you could connect with kids um, and potentially preschools and so forth to let, oh, it's kindergarten registration coming up, or there's going to be a family literacy night, or a family night Ready Fest is coming up. Those kinds of things to help people in the community be aware of what is coming up with regard to public schools and resources. Be welcome to, or that's something you can see about attending outreach programs alongside the library staff so that you can connect with families. And just upcoming events, America 250. America next year will be turning 250 years old. Connecting with the library staff on local history projects. That could there be something in a local history walk that you with your high school students, perhaps connecting with them with maybe doing oral history, working in the community along with the Bookmobile librarian, outreach librarian, going and doing senior interviews, oral history interviews. Um, that perhaps that kind of collaboration. Co-hosting book clubs or inviting the Bookmobile staff to attend programs at the school so that children there can get connected with library resources. And then cross-promoting anything um, that the library has, mobile hotspots. Some have laptops that can be checked out. Perhaps you know of a family in your community that is in need. They've parent has lost a job and they don't know what to do. Connecting them with their local library, the local career center, those kinds of things could be a way in providing those hotspots and laptops. If the library has those available, would be checking with your local branch or local library, but that could be an opportunity. And then inviting the staff to come to events at the school, things just keeping in contact and connection. And so these are just some pictures uh, of different things that were shared with me by the Bookmobile staff I reached out to. So this is, I think, the Boyle County Public Library on the right. You can see in their Bookmobile just the fun atmosphere of it. They want it to be something that's inviting for children to get on and to think of learning and reading as fun. These are some cards from children who have participated and gotten sweet reads, which are some free materials for those kids who are not allowed to check out books. And I'd like to just read one more quote to you. Bookmobile librarians are proud of their duties in performing a vital service to rural and urban areas alike. And this is an older quote from an oral history interview that was conducted by the Oral History Commission. This librarian, Bookmobile librarian, was in Hopkins County, and she said, "You just become one of them because you know the kind of books they read. You know their personal side. It's not like the library where you go in there and just check out your books with your card and go on back to your business. You check out their book, you become part of their community, part of their family, and you're invited to graduations, and your family enlarges a whole lot." I had another librarian tell me that she says, "I feel like I might be kind of like a hairdresser. People will tell me things that they may not realize they are telling me, and maybe they shouldn't tell me, but that's some insight too, that librarians may hear things that and riding along with them, you may find out things that there's a need in the community or in this person's life that perhaps could be met through Family Resource Center or through another community organization. Wouldn't have to just be Family Resource Center. So I just share that. And on this slide, I wanted to highlight a few more things that are going on and just some pictures from the different Bookmobile and outreach events. Meade County all these different things that the Bookmobile is doing or places they're going and camps that they visit. I've mentioned about the Allen County Public Library, and they're visiting the local firehouses or volunteer fire departments. There's programming. She's looks like she's planting some seeds, and just there's lots of things going on, and it's encouraging to see these things. So wanted to share those with you. And then I'll kind of wrap up before we get into discussion. I mentioned that Greenup County has book kits that they circulate, but that's just Greenup County. And there are a few other libraries who do circulate kits. Scott County does, and Wayne County has just started doing that. But maybe the library in your county doesn't have that capability. You can still reserve KDLA's. KDLA has several youth kits and both programming and book kits that are available for you to borrow. You just have to go to your public library to get them. That's part of the funding that we receive. It has to be through the public library. We have a courier system, so if you're in Lewis County or in Clay County or all the way in Livingston County, we have a courier system that will send resources, these book kits and programming kits to you through the public library. So the youth kits, they have usually 20 copies of a book for youth. They have audiobooks that if they're available, a discussion guide. My colleague Amy Olson has been working very hard to get a Spanish edition of the youth books available if they are if in the kit if it's possible. And they also will include a large print for those who have vision impairment or need the large print. The programming kits and are as varied as cooking and learning the ABCs all the way up to henna and anime and zombies. So it's just a variety of different things. If you are interested in borrowing these, my colleague at KDLA, Debbie Hibbard, I can give you her information. I can actually provide to Maggie uh, some flyers that I can share with you as well. But this is a resource that could be available to you. And on the right, that's just a picture of some of the kits that we have. So there's a variety of them available. I also want to mention Talking Book Library, Kentucky Talking Book Library. This is a free service available to people who cannot read traditional print because of a visual, physical, or a reading disability. So dyslexia would count if a child has not able to hold a book because they have their arms have been broken or maybe they are missing a limb. They could be potentially eligible for this. And so it's a free service that's provided through KDLA and the Library of Congress. Audio and Braille materials are sent directly to the user, postage free. So it's completely free. If you know of families who maybe parent has the visual disability, then but the child is sighted, we have Braille books that are in print and in Braille. So it's just like a regular picture book. It's got the pictures and the text on one side, but then it's Braille on the other side. We even have a Braille kit that can be checked out and has examples of these print Braille books and has a stylus, and you can make your own, do some Braille writing. But this is something that is available to children. Sometimes people think it's just for adults. It's available to children too. And so that we even have applications that you can access on the resources, the links that I've shared. So I've given you a couple of ways to contact your local public library. KDLA provides information for both of these, but the Kentucky Public Library Association is the professional organization in our state for Kentucky Public Libraries. And the state library provides a directory listing a spreadsheet to the Kentucky Public Library Association that lists all the contact information for the director and the phone number and the location of the local public library. So KDLA, the state library, also on its site hosts a directory too. It has some pictures of libraries on it. Excuse me. But also those maps that I mentioned earlier, the Bookmobile and the drive time to your nearest library, those are available on the site too. I'm always happy to help connect or introduce you to a staff as well if that'd be something you'd be interested in. And now I'd open it up for questions and any kind of ideas or collaborations, or how can library staff connect with you all to help promote their services that you all offer. I'd welcome this discussion. I can end my sharing too if that sounds okay. I know I've talked a lot. What did you all have with what some of the services that were offered? Have any surprises or things that maybe you already knew what was going on? I know you all are embedded in the community too, so you we're almost like two peas in a pod in many ways. Thank you, Stephanie. Were there things that I mentioned in collaboration that seemed like, oh, I may have missed the boat there, or that you could think of that, oh, maybe we could do this instead, or thank you, Abby. That's wonderful to hear. And it's actually Kenton County who's doing the work in the mobile home park. So I don't know. Nisa is the ESL librarian. She may be able to connect with you if you're interested in doing that. Uh, that's wonderful. Okay, I would think Jennifer would know Nisa, but and maybe Nisa may not. I don't know if there'd be resources that with kiddos in that community. Thank you, Jessica, too, for yes. And many libraries do summer reading programs. Sometimes it's just in June, sometimes it's June and July. They try to do different events. So and they do their best to make visits to the local schools to say, hey, this is what we're doing for summer reading. Come and visit us. Not every library serves as a summer feeding site, but Kenton County, I think, still does. There are others that are going to be doing that. So there may be, and they try to have activities, different ones do, to make things available to children during the summer too. They're aware of very much of the food insecurity oftentimes.
One of my favorite experiences as a coordinator in partnering with my local library was actually with my library's reference librarian, who led a group of high school students through the process of looking into their ancestry and genealogy using resources available through the library. And so it was an enrichment class that students signed up for during like an advisor type structured time. And it was really fascinating. The students got to, take a worksheet home and then kind of worked with their parents to fill in what they knew. And then using the library's resources, we're able to look back through generations. And it was such an incredible experience for those kiddos. Some were able to look at, census documents from the early 19th century. And it was just really kind of outside the box in terms of my experience with libraries. it was one of my first that really opened my eyes to the vast um, amount of resources and possible connections. And like I said, it was a fantastic experience, very engaging for high school kiddos, and was probably that linchpin moment for me as a coordinator of recognizing that the partnership with the library could be so much more broad.